Hey there, Dwight Grant with Forward One Business Coaching. You know, relationships matter, period. If you want to be successful, if you want to be productive, if you want to be happy, you need to spend time developing relationships. Now, I'm not talking about grabbing someone's email and then, sending them 100 emails a day. Although that might help nurture a relationship in business. I'm talking about getting a little bit deeper than just a surface level business kind of relationship. Um, One way that I've found personally to do this is through whitewater rafting. Now, maybe you can blame it on my dad. Um, Last time I told you guys how I got my family involved in whitewater rafting, but what I didn't tell you is how I ever got involved and to begin with. So I want to tell you. When I was a teenager, we would, me and brothers would visit my dad a couple times a month. And one of the times that we were over at his place, he had a brochure and he threw it over at me and he said, "Want to go?" And I'm like, "Grand Canyon, Colorado River. Whoa, this is awesome." Of course, I didn't want him to know that because we weren't really on that great of terms. And so I was thinking, how could I do this without my dad? No, but I somehow I mentioned, got it out of my mouth and said, "Sure, I guess." And that was all it took for us to get on a 2 week adventure on the Colorado River through the Grand Canyon. And so basically, what transpired was absolutely life changing. Now, some people call it river magic, but I don't know about that. But what I do know is that after that trip, there were two things that happened. One, my level of respect before the trip was about that much. After the trip, it just grew exponentially. If it went from a 0.1 to a 9.5, okay. And the second thing was I was hooked on whitewater rafting. I have a couple other stories to share just about the impact that rafting can have on relationship. I was taking a family out rafting once, and they told me basically it was three generations. It was mom, it was grown kids, and it was grandkids. And so they told me that mom did not like water. Now she didn't speak real good English, but I found out she really didn't like water. She was afraid of the shower head. So she did not like water. Not exactly sure how things work, but she did not like water. She didn't want to get wet. Wireless rafting? How does this work? Anyway, we figured it out. I positioned her so she wouldn't get blasted with water, and we were having a good time. And she was smiling. And we pulled over on the side of the river, and we said, "Well, hey, if you guys want to, we can hike up. You can jump in the river and swim down." And so she followed us up there, and the family where they were jumping in and swimming, and the mom came up and she said, "Well, so how deep is it?" And I'm like, "It's not too deep. Here, it's just a little couple inches. You want to come in?" And she said, "Oh, maybe just a little bit. I just put my toes." And so she came over and put her toes. And then I backed up a little bit and said, "Well, you want to come in a little further?" "Oh, I guess I could try a little further." And next thing you know, she's up to her waist. And I said, "Well, hey, why don't you just bend your knees?" And the next thing you know, she's floating on her own. The woman that doesn't like to get wet. Anyway, we got her down. She ended up swimming that whole section down, and when she got out, her family they were applauding and they were hooping and hollering. And then, at the back at base, we were putting things away, and the oldest son came up to me and he's like, "Miracle worker, miracle worker." I'm like, "Really? What do you mean?" "That's impossible. You don't know how significant that was. You don't know how much that means to our family." that she was able to overcome her fear. You just don't realize how big of a deal this has been for us. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. So I never really consider myself a miracle worker, but I did thank God for an amazing experience. And let me share one more example. This one about business. Several years back, we were having trouble with a supplier, and we had late shipments, we had damaged product, invoice errors, pricing discrepancies. I mean, everything about this, the relationship was just going sour, and they were a key relationship. It was a pretty big deal, and we tried everything, try to work out a solution. We sent emails, we did phone calls, we set up meetings, and we got executives involved. It was a mess, and just seemed like it was impossible. Like we just weren't going to ever get things worked out. But one day I heard that one of the key players from the company was coming to Colorado, and he was bringing his family. And so I thought, "Bing, hey, I'll just invite him rafting." And so I did. And he said, "Oh, my kids were wondering about that." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, come on out." And so we got out on the river, and we just had a blast. His wife and kids, I mean, they just had the time of their lives. And we talked, we told stories, we just got to know each other on a much deeper level. And guess what happened? Within a month, problems gone. I mean, I, I mean, they just disappeared, and it's like, what? Did we change the process? Did we what happened? No, it was he went back and he figured out what was going wrong, and he solved the problem for us. And it was because we spent the time to actually really develop that relationship, and what had been finger pointing and all kind of problems, it just got resolved. So I can't think of a better way to grow and strengthen relationships than the shared experience of adventure on the river. I hope you'll consider joining me this summer, Biz and Raft Networking Series, forward1.net. Till next time, wishing you the best.